Huddle Up.
Brought to you by the Fields Auto Group.
Jaguars senior writer John Oehser, NFL Network analyst and former Jaguar Bucky Brooks, and senior reporter J.P. Shadrick bring you the latest on your Jacksonville Jaguars. Huddle Up starts right now.
And welcome in. It is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, Wednesday, November 6th. And we've got a busy show ahead as the Jaguars prepare to face the Minnesota Vikings in Week 10. The trade deadline in the rear view. The quarterback is on the injury report this week. We'll get to that. A final look at the Jaguars-Eagles game, because we must. And a first look, of course, at the Vikings-Jaguars matchup as the Jaguars get back into the NFC North, the toughest division in the NFL. Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks is brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. J.P. Shadrick with John Oehser. We're at the Hyundai Studios in the Miller Electric Center. Bucky Brooks is in Los Angeles.
L.A. Bucky.
We love L.A. Bucky. Good afternoon, Bucky. How are you?
I'm good. What's going on, guys?
Well, a lot. I mean, obviously the trade deadline came and went. Jaguars had no extra movement from after Cam Robinson's deal and Roy Robertson Harris. Those were the two in-season trades for the Jags this year. And then today, when the quarterback's dinged up and is limited at practice, that's always news, Bucky. So non-throwing shoulder, we're told, or upper body, I guess, is what came out of the game last week.
Yeah, no. Here's the thing, and I thought there was something to that when you're sitting at halftime and Trevor has to go get an X-ray and you don't know if he's going to start, if Mac Jones is going to start. He certainly had gotten beat up a little bit in that game. And what you hope is at some point he's able to come back and return to practice. But one of the reasons why you signed Mac Jones is so we could avoid what happened last year where Trevor went through a series of weeks where he couldn't practice, but he played, and it impacted his performance. If he's hurt and hurt enough where you don't feel good about him playing, you have a former first rounder in Mac Jones. You roll with Mac Jones, and you kind of figure out a way to win with Mac Jones as your quarterback.
Yeah, this is the scenario. So it's
and they brought on C.J. Beathard from the practice squad of the Dolphins. That kind of was before all the talking today.
Well, and I don't think you bring in C.J. unless there's a real chance that Trevor can't play. Mm-hmm. So, I think all we're going to know this week is that Trevor is tough. He's played through this kind of thing, or I shouldn't say these kind of things. I don't know how the seriousness is, but he's played through stuff before. He'll play if he can be out there. But, without question, this is why now you feel less inclined to pressure or to say, hey, Trevor, we need you to play. You're supposed to be able to win with your backup quarterback for a couple weeks.
And this would have been the scenario last season had maybe Mac or somebody of that level been on the roster.
Now, what you never know is, look, the starting quarterback, if he wants to play and feels like he's ready, there's a little bit of benefit of the doubt that guy has to get.
Yeah.
But then, Bucky, that's also, I guess that's the art of being a head coach, right? Of knowing how much a leverage isn't the right word, but how much leeway the quarterback should get versus, hey, I get it, kid, but we got to go a different direction because, you can't protect yourself or, whatever factor there is. There's no blueprint for this, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, there's not a blueprint for it, but it is something that you want to maybe do a better job than you did last year. Because Trevor's play through injury was detrimental to his performance last season. And a lot of the stuff that happened at the end of last season might have affected the way that he played this season, just from a confidence standpoint. You want to protect the player from the player. And if you're Doug Peterson, you understand the severity of the injury. You had a backup policy in Mac Jones. You got him for a reason. You got to trust the plan. The plan is to get Mac Jones in case something happened to Trevor. Hand the ball to Mac Jones if Trevor can't play.
Yeah, JP, people have been trying to protect me from me all my life. So I get it.
But, hey, you're stubborn.
It obviously hasn't worked.
Certainly has not. We've got plenty ahead on the Vikings-Jaguars matchup presented by CSX this coming Sunday in Week 10. CSX, how tomorrow moves. However, let's take a final look back at the Eagles-Jaguars matchup, a game. Stop me if you've heard this before. The Jaguars were in an early deficit in the game. This time it was 22-0, and somehow found a way to stay in the game. They finally got a drive on offense after 31 yards and 1 first down in the first half. They got something in the third quarter going, got a touchdown. The improbable takeaway and fumble return touchdown from Trayvon Walker on just a razor-thin margin for error play that was so close to being down, but it wasn't. It was a fumble, and they had to talk to the pool reporter after the game with the replay official. All that happened to get the Jags back within 1 score, and then, of course, the third takeaway of the game on the final drive, on a first down play, a throw to the left side of the end zone ended it. So, unfortunately, a little bit short by 5 points in the game.
Yeah, and it unfortunately, it feels like, to me, this is what they are. Meaning, they've lost 5 games in the last 2 minutes. Easily, you always say easily could have been X, right? But also, what the league is winning games like this. In the last couple of weeks, I don't think I can say either of the last 2 weeks that I walked out of the stadium thinking the Jaguars blew that one to a team they should have beaten. They would have been playing a little bit above what you expected to win either one. Yeah. So in that sense, you give the players points for, valiance, I guess. But I'm also tired of that. Right. I mean, I think fans listening to this are tired. Well, they played hard. So I think they're a team right now that is when it's going to take something unusual for them to get over that hump, because they've shown us what they are. And I wish that wasn't true, but that feels like what this season has been, Bucky.
It has been that. And when people show you who they are, you got to believe them. And Bill Parcells would say, you are what your record is. And the Jaguars are sitting at 2-7, and we can talk about them having 5 losses by 5 points or fewer, but those are still losses. Haven't been able to make the key plays when you need to make them in the late stages of games. So you have to own it. And Doug Peterson was at his presser talking about accountability and how do you keep the team playing hard and those things. You show them the tape. You talk about the little things. You hold them accountable for doing the little things. I mean, look, it's been a year and a half talking about the same talk, right? We've had the same conversation in some way, shape, or form since last year, and the team still has not done it. He can continue to preach it, but until the players take the message to heart, it will be the same result over and over and over again.
And Bucky, am I reading this right? It sort of feels like, too, the Eagles, rightly or wrongly, it kind of showed me they're a team that is maybe, I don't know if mature is the right word or experienced, or whatever, but Saquon Barkley makes some big-time plays to win that game. Jalen Hurts makes some big-time plays to win that game. Devontae Smith. They're big-time players. The Devontae Smith play, I mean, everybody's talking about the Saquon play because it made headlines. Yep. But the Smith catch at the end of or on 3rd and 22, that play should have been a field goal, right? That should have been 3 points. But Hurts threw it up, trusted, and said, my guy can make that play. I think the Jaguars have Brian Thomas Jr. who can make that play. Trayvon on defense is that level guy. I don't know if the Jaguars, like, BTJ may not be there yet in that moment. I think he's going to be that player going forward. But, Bucky, it felt like the big-time players were the difference in that game on Sunday.
100%. And I would say the Eagles won in spite of the faulty and flawed coaching that Nick Sirianni provided them. This was a game, if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm upset because this was a game that should have been 40-something for the Eagles. They had more than enough opportunities, particularly in the first half, to knock the Jaguars out. To the Jaguars' credit, they fought and got back. But for our team, there are not enough guys that are making those gotta-have-it plays in those moments. Offensively, Brian Thomas Jr. is the number 1 receiver. He is second to the second guy would rate as Evan Ingram, and then I would say Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne are third and fourth in terms of the pecking order. In critical moments, the ball has to go to your best players. I am disappointed that the ball somehow found its way to Dearness Johnson. He's a solid player. He's a good player in his role. But games should not be decided on whether we throw 50-50 balls up to Dearness Johnson. And so that's something that has to improve. And whether that's a coordinator thing, whether that's a Trevor thing, the ball needs to end up in the direction of your best players, because those guys are the most impactful players that you have on your team.
Or if it's covered, throw it into the stands. I mean, live to play second down.
Yeah, that's also another good idea, to understand situation, to make sure that you don't make a bad play. Yes, that is something that you definitely want to consider and probably execute.
All right, we've got plenty ahead. We'll come back in a moment, and we're going to move it forward. The Eagles game is flushed. We're done with it. Complete with sound effects. This is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The kick is up. It's good!
Score winning sub deals this Jaguar season at Firehouse Subs. Receive 50% off on any sub when the Jaguars kick a field goal of 40 yards or more. It's a bold deal for the bold city. Download the Firehouse Subs app for offer details. Redeemable only at participating Jacksonville and Orlando area restaurants. Only available in the Firehouse Subs app. Hey Jaguars fans, as the official whiskey sponsor of the NFL, it's not kickoff without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. And that's why they've built the Crown Royal Rig. An absurdly awesome 18-wheeler delivering the generous spirit to stadiums and tailgates across the country. Follow the Royal Rig on its journey from city to city, bringing together local cuisine, NFL legends, and the opportunity to pack a purple bag for charity and win tickets to Super Bowl 59. Visit crownroyal.com for rules and more. Please drink responsibly.
I think the talent around him, that helps, right? I mean, just having the run game, the defense, the way the defense is played, being in Coach O'Connell's system and the way he calls plays, I think is helpful. And look, he's always been a solid quarterback, and whatever team or role he's on, I just think now he's learning, maturing, and showing that he's capable of doing it. And that's what you're seeing on film, taking care of the football. That's a big part of this thing. Yes, Justin Jefferson is obviously an elite receiver in this league that, can wreak havoc on you.
Head coach Doug Peterson today asked about Sam Darnold and his effectiveness so far. Welcome back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, JP Shadrick, John Oehser in Jacksonville, Bucky out in L.A. The full press conference from the head coach at Jaguars.com or the Jaguars YouTube channel. The Jags face the Vikings Sunday for the Jags Salute to Service game, and you can see the shell white alternate helmets in action for the first time. And join us in honoring military all game long. Lock in your tickets now, Jaguars.com/tickets, and the game delivered by CSX. CSX, how tomorrow moves. Sam Darnold.
I have a question for the scout.
Okay.
Or for the league analyst. And I know this is what we're talking about, so I'll jump in on you, JP.
Okay.
Sam Darnold, is he part of a trend? Meaning a second team guy. He's on his second team, right, JP?
Third team.
Well, even better. Mm-hmm. Even better for my point.
Fourth team, right?
who is
fourth team. Yeah,
the league's so much different, Bucky, than the NFL, than college football. Mm-hmm. Are we going to see more guys like this who need time, who get given up on at the quarterback position? And Mayfield's doing it, and I think we're about to see a lot of these guys.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of it because the first teams aren't exhibiting the patience that you probably need to with a young player.
But can they? Right? I mean, why they don't do it. The league's set up poorly for these guys right now.
It is, but then the other thing I would say, John, like when you take that, it should be an investment. And so rather than the rush to get guys on the field, the rush should be to develop them until they're ready to play. And the best teams should draft a quarterback before you need a quarterback. And so if you have a quarterback that is nearing the end of his run, maybe 2 years before he's done, you begin to bring in the young quarterback so you can develop him and give him an opportunity. We have seen that model work multiple instances in Green Bay. We've seen it work in Kansas City with Alex Smith and Pat Mahomes. There is a way that you can successfully prepare your young quarterback. And what executives have to do is ignore the outside noise that are telling you, hey, the clock is running, we got to get him in the Super Bowl window during this rookie contract. It should be, when can we get him ready to play? And we will play him when he's ready to play, whether it's this year, next year, or 2 years from now. We need to do what's right by the player as opposed to trying to get the quick fix and do it with a cheap rookie contract at quarterback.
I mean, same idea in Atlanta, right? Except Penix is a little bit older than the normal rookie coming in and a first-round pick. I mean, he's, 26 years old or something? But same idea with Cousins there.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, he's a little older, but not like Brandon Whedon or any of those guys. I mean, he's like 25 or whatever, but that's still the same premise. You want to have him in the building. You want to have him learn from the veteran. You want him to make all the mistakes on the practice field. So when he's given the ball, he feels comfortable in the National Football League. And we can talk about the speed of the game and how you may be prepared or whatever. The NFL is a different ball of wax than anything that you've experienced as a collegiate player. And the teams that you're seeing that kind of take a slow cook process when it comes to the quarterback are having more success. The other thing that you're seeing is because Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold are cast off very early in their careers, general managers will always give those guys 2 or 3 bites at the apple, because if you were a first-round pick, universally, they view you as someone who had enough talent to deserve multiple chances to see if you can unlock it. New environment, new scheme, new coach, whatever it is, you get those second and third chances when you're a top pick.
Yeah, JP, I had somebody ask me the other day, Anthony Richardson, he's going to be done. He won't be. No.
Somebody will have a genius idea for him.
And to me, he might be a guy who sort of fits into this too. I have no idea what the Colts are going to do, obviously, but he goes to a team after this season, if they happen to do that route. Somebody says, yeah, we'll take him. We'll sit him for 2 years. And we'll let him, because we can. You say it's the Browns. I don't know who it'd be. But the Browns can say, yeah, there's no pressure here. None of our fans expect anything from this guy. So we can take our time with this guy, whereas in the Colts you couldn't. So but I don't know if we're going to see much of a change, Bucky, because I don't think most franchises have the patience to draft a guy early and then give him time. The ones that know what they're doing do, and have the patience to tell their fans, yeah, we hear the noise, but you go ahead and make your noise. We're going to do it the right way. It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, it is hard. But it takes complete buy-in. It takes buy-in not only from the coach being able to do it, but everyone has to be in alignment from top to bottom. Ownership, front office, coaches. This is the best player for us to take. We need a franchise quarterback. We're not going to play this franchise quarterback until 2026. So I just need you to understand, yes, we use the top pick, but we're going to ignore the noise for everyone saying he has to get onto the field, and we're going to develop him the right way. And if you do that and you're successful doing it down the line, the owner has saved millions on millions on millions of dollars because he is a quarterback for the next decade. You need to make sure that you're getting the right guys, and you need to have a plan that really works. We're seeing too many young guys cycled in and out of the starting lineup by their second year. There's not enough time to fully evaluate if a player can play or not.
But JP, remember the stink in Atlanta when they drafted?
No doubt. Yeah.
People painted them like they were idiots. Yeah. And when you really look at how you do it, the approach makes some sense.
Yeah.
Go ahead, JP.
2 years from now, we'll find out,
Right.
I guess, in Atlanta. You know what helps a quarterback really increase their level of play? A guy named Justin Jefferson on the outside, right? And a running game to go with it. And other receivers who can play. Oh, and maybe the tight end's coming back this week, too. When you have those pieces in an offensive line that's really darn good for the most part. They just had Cam Robinson at left tackle, had an injury there. When you have Justin Jefferson out there, you always have a chance, Bucky, it feels like. What is it about Justin's game? And, I mean, there's nothing lacking from their game, is there?
No, there's nothing lacking for the game, and I think the thing that is remarkable, normally when you see a guy who is as decorated as he is, he was someone that came in the first round who would have all of the tools that you look for, meaning he would be a top 5 or top 10 pick or whatever. Justin Jefferson is different because slender frame, slight build, but what he is a high-level alpha dog competitor who shows up in the biggest and brightest moments. He's a terrific pass catcher. He has great ball skills, outstanding route runner. But beyond all of those things, the one word that I would describe Justin Jefferson is clutch. When the game is on the line and they need a play, Justin Jefferson is going to make that play. He's done it time and time again in his young career.
Yeah, so hard to scout. Some teams passed on him twice.
That's amazing, right? Isn't that something?
It is something. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. And he's going against the Jaguars defense that has struggled, certainly to say the least, in the passing game this year and giving up big plays. We just talked about it. Big plays, big moments, down the field. They gave up 7 plays at 20 or more yards last week, the Jags did.
Right. And the striking thing in there, JP, is all the third and longs. Third and long. I mean, that it's become a theme this week, I know. Third and forever. Bucky wrote it in his always well done Scouts take this morning. But it's I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like it. Not only what it does to you on the field, but the crushing gut punch of the moment to feel like twice in that game the other day, and it's been a season-long thing, you feel like, okay, they're going to give up 3. They played good defense. You're third and long. Okay, they got out of it. And then boom, touchdown, boom, touchdown. Not only is it 8 points, but it's just the feeling that you did your job and now it's gone. Like it's crushing. And to me, the 2 things that define this season are those plays, not being able to get off the field on third and long, and then the slow starts. I mean, those things. It's not hard to believe you're 2-7 when you're playing in those situations like that.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to talk about because. In the offseason, Ryan Nielsen talked about nothing cheap and nothing deep. Being able to have the awareness to keep everything in front of the defense, despite being a team that leaned heavily into man-to-man. The thing that is really frustrating to me when I watched the team, I mean, multiple times on third and forever. We talk about forever being 15+. They gave it up. The first one they give up to Saquon Barkley, they run an inside running play. He doesn't get touched on a 19-yard scamper into the end zone, which is crazy to think about that. That should have been a field goal. And then this is time to get off the field where, you got him backed up. It's third and forever, balls in 22, and you let him throw it over the top of the defense. It's problematic. And the other part that is problematic about that drive in particular, they started out on the 9-yard line. They have a 91-yard drive where they had three explosive plays. Saquon Barkley pops a big one. Devontae Smith catches a deep over, and then he seals the deal with a touchdown over top. To me, the Jags will never be what they could be on defense until they eliminate the big plays. Just too many explosive plays for a team that talked about neutralizing the explosive plays all offseason. Yeah,
and the problem there is you've got to the point where you're not surprised.
It's almost inevitable. Yeah. Oh, boy, they can play a good game, so something's coming.
Well, and the draw, frankly, 3rd and 17, 3rd and 19, I hate to keep looking back, but 3rd and 19 draw, you're not trying to score.
No.
Really? I mean, you'd like to score, but you're not calling that play in the huddle thinking we're getting 7 here.
We're going to get about 6 or 7. And
that's found money for that team. Goal. So it's and
you saw their reaction on the sideline when it happened too. I mean, they weren't expecting.
They were sort of surprised,
jumping around.
Pretty cool. Yeah. And in fairness, I don't necessarily think the play that Devontae Smith made. I'm not sure that was as much of a lapse as it was a great play. So if you're trying to be fair, that's an NFL player making a big-time play.
All right, let's wrap up this Jaguars defense against the Vikings offense discussion with a big matchup this week. Former Jaguars tackle Cam Robinson got a game ball last week in his debut with the Minnesota Vikings, the first game ball in the locker room on their team website, video and all that, for coming in on Wednesday and then starting on Sunday and helping lead them to a victory last week where they had to rally to get it done on Sunday night against the Colts. So Cam Robinson against Josh Hines-Allen. Bucky, what's your scouting report with this matchup?
Oh, this is something where Josh Hines-Allen has a little book on Cam Robinson. He's going to attack him. The thing about it, Cam Robinson has a better supporting cast around him, and so they can do some things to make it easier for Cam to win his blocks. They can slide the protection to him. He can overset and make sure that he lures Josh Hines-Allen inside. But I heard Doug talk about it, and he kind of seemed nonchalant about Cam coming back. Like, yeah, it'd probably be a little weird for him. No. Doug, I'm going to tell you, Cam Robinson is going to be on level 10. It might be the best game that we've seen from him because it's personal. He's coming back, and everybody has that emotion that they carry when you feel like you might have been wronged by a team, real or not, or when you've been traded away. There is always some kind of personal thing that you have that's going to allow him to play at a high emotional level. That battle should be fun to watch, though, between he and Josh Hines-Allen.
Yeah, my thought on Cam, and Cam, I think Cam. JP, I think you know Cam better than I do. The Bama guys, I know you bonded a little bit with him over the years.
Yeah, sure.
But my impression of Cam is that this game, he will play with his hair on, and he's the kind of guy who loves football, loves talking, loves being in it enough that he'll play into that. My impression, too, though, is once this is all over, meaning his career, I think there'll be a fondness and a connection for Cam with the Jaguars as a whole. I mean, I don't think he's going to, in 15 years, hate the Jags. But I think he'll have fun with this in the moment. And, and it's hard to describe, but Cam is one of the guys, he likes the money, don't get me wrong, but he'd play football. He likes playing football and likes being involved with it, to talk, and likes interacting with other players on Twitter, likes being in it.
Yeah.
So I think he'll love this moment, and I expect him to play well.
Yeah, when he is, in the past, we've seen it, when he's had any kind of extra motivation or need to, and he has to crank it up, then okay, he can go physically move some people around. That's been, at least in the past, around here. And, there were some questions, I think, this offseason, end of the season. Does he really have that fire anymore? And, I think that's part of the reason why he might not be around here right now. And I think he'd be out to go prove that again. So, you got to get ready, because it's going to go – if it goes to 10, he might go to 11.
This is kind of what makes football fun, right? This is what it's supposed to – this is what it's supposed to be.
And it'll be good competition, and, there'll be some chatter back and forth, and they'll play, and then they'll shake hands at the end. That's Cam. So,
and Cam will take a swing at you every now and then.
You think? I love JP, how calm you are about this. You know absolutely well that this is going to be like one of those personal affairs, and you talk about there be some banner and all that. I think it's going to be beyond that, just because of the ending. And I know it hasn't been fully shared or whatever, but I can tell you it was a very contentious conversation that they had at that last game that Cam was at. I think that carries over. And whenever a player, now remember, we all have big egos. And so we always feel like we've been wrong. And we're always looking for that one little nugget to prove people wrong. The Jaguars have given Cam that nugget. I think he will play at a higher level. And also remember this, he will take on the culture of the Vikings. The Vikings are winning. They have something to play for. He has an opportunity to go into the postseason and do some stuff. I would expect to see the best that we've seen from Cam in a little while.
And he's been, the last couple of years especially, if you needed an edge on offense, he was the guy that would grab another player's face mask and rip the hell. He got ejected one time.
Yeah, since day one he's done that.
He's kind of been that guy. And we haven't seen that yet this year. So, this week might be the week. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a great matchup. We're back in a moment. Plenty ahead. We'll flip it around and take a look at the Jaguars' offense against the Vikings' defense that takes the football away. And Jags fans want customized Jags furniture for your home? Check out zipchair.com to browse all customizable options. ZipChair furniture for fans. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Football is back. Celebrate with a gay Duval meal deal. Score 2 Roller Grill favorites and a 20-ounce Coca-Cola soft drink for just $4.50. That means you can choose any 2 to pair with your Coke. 2 hot dogs, 2 tornadoes, 2 roller bites, or mix and match. Whether you're stopping for a quick snack or tailgating with friends, this is a victory for every Jags fan. Deal happening now through January 2nd, 2025. Stop by to purchase in store.
Listen up. Just like football, timing is everything. Only water your lawn when necessary. And always check the weather before turning on those sprinklers.
Save water, save money, and score big. It's a win-win.
Whether you're on the field or at home, we're all on the same team. Florida's water. It's worth saving. This message brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Visit sjrwmd.com for more information. Hey Jaguars fans, as the official whiskey sponsor of the NFL, it's not kickoff without the generous spirit of Crown Royal. And that's why they've built the Crown Royal Rig. An absurdly awesome 18-wheeler delivering the generous spirit to stadiums and tailgates across the country. Follow the Royal Rig on its journey from city to city, bringing together local cuisine, NFL legends, and the opportunity to pack a purple bag for charity and win tickets to Super Bowl 59. Visit crownroyal.com for rules and more. Please drink responsibly.
We're running our base stuff. We're just kind of moving better when that happens. So, we'll look at everything. We're going to trust the coaches and the plan they put together. So, we got to continue to be great at that. We got to just improve our normal down and distance huddle calls too. So, you can't just rely on that. We got to be able to break the huddle, call different game plan plays, and execute them.
It's Evan Ingram with John Oehser lurking behind him in the locker room today. Welcome back. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, JP Shadrick, and John Oehser in Jacksonville, Bucky Brooks in Los Angeles, and Evan Ingram with 139 receptions since 2023, second most among all tight ends, and 8th most overall in the NFL, and he's been okay since coming back from injury. 24 catches, 218 receiving yards since coming back in Week 6. But hey, the Jaguars this week, we already talked about the question mark at the quarterback position. That's obviously priority number one. We'll see what happens as the week goes along with Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones and the reps and everything that goes into that. But they're going against the Vikings defense, Bucky, that is they're the second highest blitz rate in the NFL. Brian Flores runs the show there on defense. They're not scared to bring it a bunch of different ways. They take the ball away, second most in the NFL, most interceptions in the league. You see it on your screen. The scoring defense, they've allowed 17 or fewer in 5 of their 8 games this year. So this is a really talented defense. But what makes them so talented, Bucky?
What makes them talented is Brian Flores is super aggressive in terms of how he goes after the quarterback, but he does it in what I call a safe fashion. He has taken something that has been used like wildfire at the collegiate level and has made it his own at the NFL level. You will hear hardcore football people talk about what they call them hot blitzes. So what it is a 6 or 7-man pressure, but you're playing zone behind it. The fear used to be when you would bring 6 or 7, you would have to play man-to-man. Well, what these guys are doing is they're playing with their eyes on their quarterback. They're bringing pressure, and so the quarterback has to get it off, and then they're reacting quickly to the throw. But they're adding layers to it defensively by not only blitzing like that, but now they're bluffing and disguising and falling into these 8-man drops where it's a 3-man rush, it's 8 guys in coverage. And so the quarterback and play caller are playing a guessing game the entire night. And it's unusual. It's unlike anything that anybody else is doing. It is going to test the patience, the discipline, and the overall awareness of the quarterback to deal with the defense that likes to do this stuff.
And that can be exhausting for a quarterback to have to do that mentally the whole game. I can remember, I used to cover the Colts.
I heard
JP,
about
back
that.
in the day.
Yeah, I heard.
And I can remember there were games after they played the Ravens, for example, where Peyton would talk about just being tired mentally because it took so much thought every play to trying to figure out what's going on. So I guess the question is, Bucky, how do you combat it? What do offenses do? I mean, there's a way to beat everything. What's the key?
You got to be on your P's and Q's, man. You got to dial it up. The teams that have had success have found a way to kind of stay ahead of the chains. They've been able to run the football at that. But, I mean, it's a guessing game. It's a bit of a shell game that Brian Flores likes to utilize against the quarterback and the play caller. And so you have to be able to get into it. One of the things that is an old school tactic against it is to play a little quicker and with tempo. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going no huddle up tempo right away, but it could be as simple as here we go, play comes in, huddle up, get out the huddle, line up, first down, go. Don't allow them to do a lot of that bluffing and disguising by going quickly on first down early to then give yourself a chance to play against more of their vanilla looks as opposed to the exotic, crazy stuff. Final point, can't get in third and long situations. If you're in 3rd and 7+, you're playing right into the hands of that monster. You got to stay ahead of the chains. This will have to be the best play calling performance of Press Taylor and Doug Peterson that we've seen today because his defense is that good.
I have a final question before we move on from the Vikings.
Yes.
And this is me just covering one team and not being in depth with the rest of the league as much as I'd like to be. But, Bucky, to me, the Vikings are quietly a really consistent, really good franchise. I wouldn't necessarily say they're Ravens, Steelers, Packers consistent, but they've been good for a while, even with different coaches, different personnel. What do they do right? Why are they able to be so consistent?
Here's what I'll say about the Minnesota Vikings and why they've been able to get it right. One, the head coach is really smart, really bright, Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell played in New England, was drafted by New England. He's taken bits and pieces of that. He's taken what he's learned from Sean McVay and those guys along the way. So he's really good. He hired a really good coach in Brian Flores, and the coaches are really good in terms of developing players, but really being on it when it comes to situational awareness. The organization is A+. When you talk to people that work in the building, whether it's on the business side or the football side, A+, first class in everything they do. So they're able to retain good people because they treat them well. And so it's one of those environments that we can talk about the weather and challenges of bringing players up there, but because they treat their people in such a good manner, they don't want to go anywhere. And so when you have a happy environment, you have more production, more enthusiasm when it comes to performing. That's what you're getting when you get the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, because they've been striking. They switched head coaches.
Yeah,
and again, haven't gotten to the Super Bowl, so I think a lot of people miss it. But they're a consistent, and I do rankings each week, and he's like every week I'm putting them at, for 4, 5, 6 years, putting them at 8, and not really sure why they're that good, but they always wind up being there at the end, and you look up and they've won 5 in a row. So an impressive organization.
They've had Cousins for a little while, certainly before his move to Atlanta, and then now they've kind of fell into Darnold, and he's playing well after they drafted a quarterback early this year who got hurt in training camp. Here's a big question. I don't know how – it's a little off topic. We mentioned Brian Flores, former head coach. You think he'll get a shot again, Bucky?
I think at some point he will. Now, the lawsuit and all that kind of clouds everything. But what I would say about Brian Flores is he made some missteps the first time around in Miami, and that was related to relationships and those things. I don't think you can question how well they played and how they performed. Offensively, he has to figure out how to find the right coordinator for what he wants because he went through a few offensive coordinators. But defensively, they're one of the tops in the league. They gave you problems. He coaches hard. I think he's learned from his problems that he had, particularly with Tua Tagovailoa and some of the other players there. He'll be a much better coach the second go around. But he might just be destined to be one of those great coordinators that we always talk about it. I mean, this team is like lights out. They are really connected, offense, defense, special teams in terms of playing complementary ball. I would say it's one of the best situations that you can find where you have a former head coach as a defensive coordinator who gets the big picture that allows the offensive-minded head coach to do what he does really well, which is be the play caller and the overall leader they really have it going on in Minnesota.
All right, we'll come back with our final thoughts about this Vikings-Jaguars matchup in week number 10. It is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.
Hello, I'm Dan Fields, and we have some great news. Fields has the vehicle you want, in stock, priced right, and ready for delivery.
Fields Auto Group is Jacksonville's luxury automotive destination for Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Inventory is back and available for immediate delivery.
And every Fields customer can take advantage of our Fields Amenities program with complimentary loaners, car washes, and our cafes. You deserve the best.
Stop by today or go to fieldsauto.com.
Listen up. Just like football, timing is everything. Only water your lawn when necessary. And always check the weather before turning on those sprinklers.
Save water, save money, and score big. It's a win-win.
Whether you're on the field or at home, we're all on the same team. Florida's water. It's worth saving. This message brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Visit sjrwmd.com for more information. Looking for the perfect place to host a business trip, corporate group, or social gathering? Look no further than the award-winning Sheraton Jacksonville Hotel, proudly part of the Marriott family of hotels. Centrally located next to the St. John's Town Center off Gate Parkway in JTB, they offer everything you need, whether you're hosting a meeting or just unwinding with friends at the BC Grill and Patio. Discover comfort and convenience like never before. Search Sheraton Jacksonville or call 904-564-4772 today.
Imagine beautiful new windows and doors that elevate your space and keep you comfortable year-round. At Renewal by Andersen, we specialize in custom-built, energy-efficient windows and doors that are crafted to last. Right now, for a limited time, save 20% off your entire project. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free in-home consultation today. Restrictions apply. License number CGC 1527613.
That's the goal. I'm doing everything I can to be out there. Like it's in the past when I've gotten banged up in the past. I just try to do everything I can during the week to prepare myself to play Sunday, and just put as much time as possible into that and getting healthy. So that's the way my mind is right now.
That's the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. We'll see how his status continues this week. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, brought to you by Fields Auto Group Jacksonville. See Fields first, Jacksonville's premier luxury auto group. Go to fieldsauto.com. It's Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks, JP Shadrick, and John Ozier in Jacksonville, the Miller Electric Center, the Hyundai Studios, Bucky Brooks in L.A. Tough stretch continues. Vikings this week at the Lions, the bye week. And then the Texans come to town. That's just the nature of it this time of year. We knew that this 5-game stretch was going to be a challenge. Certainly is, with the Vikings 6-2, and they're right in the race in the toughest division in football, the NFC North. The Lions lead the way there. Minnesota 6-2, Green Bay 6-3, Chicago 4-4. So, Minnesota's going to be locked in and ready, and because they need every game they can get right now, Bucky.
Yeah, no, this is interesting because that division is the best in ball, and we just think about back-to-back weeks. This month was not ideal in terms of facing all those teams. But when you think about the Green Bay Packers and then back-to-back weeks, the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions, two of the best teams in football. This is a tough little stretch, and what you're dealing with, they talk about the black and blue division. The Jaguars are being exposed to the rough and rugged physicality that these teams play with, and so you got to get ready for it. It takes it up a notch. It reminds me of being with the Jaguars and playing the old Pittsburgh Steelers teams in the past. This is what it's like, and this is what it's going to be like the next 2 weeks, because both of those teams prefer to play football with their big boy pads on.
Yeah, what you worry about is you had a couple of games in a row where you've really had to grind it out, play tough, haven't gotten the results you wanted, laid it all out, played to the last whistle, if you will. You worry about how long you can keep doing that when you don't get the results. And, at some point, often when you're struggling, have a couple fight, and then you have one where it goes off the rails. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I hope it goes the other way. But that's what you sort of watch for, having seen situations like this, is when it's just
we're out of gas.
Yeah, can't do it again.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't anticipate that, because somebody actually asked me, do you feel like they're quitting, giving up on Doug, whatever? And I'm like, if you watch the last 2 games, you haven't seen that. Like,
no way.
I found it a silly question, because I don't know. I don't talk to players. But you watch these games last couple of weeks, this is a team with heart. This is a team with fight. Unfortunately, fight doesn't matter if you don't win. That's right. So, but it's there.
And with the injury bug continuing, I mean, at some point that attrition is going to catch up.
It's hard to have, I think Bucky and I have talked about the stamina. You know, can you keep, we talked about it before the game. That's why I told him I was worried about against Green Bay. Do you have the stamina to finish when it's really hard against a physical team and you're not in it? That it's hard to fight through that. I think it's going to be an issue again or it's going to be a storyline to watch again on Sunday. But
yeah, it's going to be an interesting storyline to watch. And you talked about the competitive stamina and just being able to kind of deal with all the things that you have to deal with when you're an elite team. Like, one of the things that we talk about, what separates good from great in the league is the ability to show up each and every week and bring your A-level performance. It's never done where you can bring your A game each week, but the really good teams are able to play at a high level, and even when they're a little off, they find another level to go to in a game to get a win. We're seeing that right now with Kansas City, who we all feel like hasn't played their best game, but yet they sit at the top of the league undefeated. It's the same thing that you look at when you look at Minnesota and Detroit and some of those other teams. It's one of the things that the Jaguars need to learn once they start winning games, how to kind of put that together when you can run off 6, 7 in a row, despite whatever adversity you may be facing internally.
All right. That'll do it for the show today. Bucky, have a great week. We'll see you here at the bank on Sunday, man. Appreciate it.
Should be fun.
Oh, it's going to be fun. That's Bucky Brooks in Los Angeles. John Ogier. I'm JP Shadrick. Our thanks to David Cho, Brent Reber, Joe Fortunato, our entire Jaguars.com crew. This is Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks.